All right, let's talk about something that every single one of us deals with, but maybe don't really get: failure. Today, we're going to dive deep and figure out how to completely flip the script on it, turning that awful feeling of frustration into a seriously powerful tool for growth. Let's get into it. You know this feeling, right? That mental maze you get stuck in after a big setback, where every path seems like a dead end. It's this universal feeling of being totally stuck, and man, it just sucks all the motivation right out of you. But what if I told you the problem isn't the failure at all? The real issue is the lens we're looking through. It's our perception of what happened that's causing the pain. And the good news? That's something we have complete control over. Okay, so if it's all about how we see things, how do we actually change our view? Well, it turns out that most of us operate using one of two very different mindsets. Getting a handle on these two approaches is really the first step to building a much healthier relationship with our goals. And yeah, our setbacks. So on one side, you've got the result-based approach. This is all about the final score, the win or lose. And on the other side, we have the procedure-based approach, which is all about the journey, the how. And spoiler alert, our society is kind of obsessed with the first one, but the real magic, as we're about to see, is in the second. Yeah, this is the one we're all swimming in every single day. It's the mindset that only asks, so, what happened? Did you get the job? Did you win the game? The entire focus is completely and totally on that final product. And why is this way of thinking so darn popular? Well, honestly, because it's simple. It boils everything down to a simple yes or no. You either won or you lost, success or failure. There's zero room for nuance. It's fast, it makes for a good headline, but that simplicity, it comes with a pretty big price tag. And that price can be incredibly steep, because when we lean too hard on this result-based thinking, it starts to become really toxic, not just for us as individuals, but for, society as a whole. Let's break down exactly what that damage looks like. For you personally, it makes you incredibly vulnerable. If the only thing that matters is the final score, then any criticism feels like a total rejection of you, even if you did everything right along the way. That creates this crushing pressure, which can lead to bad impulsive decisions and that awful spiral of second-guessing every choice you've ever made. And when you zoom out and look at society, whoa, it gets even worse. If the result is all that matters, then who cares how you get there, right? This is what normalizes cheating. It kills virtues like patience and hard work. It's the engine that fuels that materialistic, look-at-me culture we see everywhere. I mean, think about something like the college admissions scandal. That's the result-based mindset taken to its most toxic extreme. What this all adds up to is a trap. It puts us on this hamster wheel, this toxic chase for a finish line that keeps moving. A world where coming in second place feels like you're the biggest loser on the planet. Okay, that sounds pretty bleak, right? But don't worry, there's a way out. There is a powerful antidote, and it's called the procedure-based approach. This is how scientists and researchers think, and it offers a much, much healthier path forward. So instead of asking, what happened, this approach asks a much more interesting question. Why did that happen? The focus shifts completely away from the end result and onto the process, the steps, the how that got you there. And look, this isn't some fuzzy, abstract idea. It's a really logical flow. You take your big goal and you break it down into smaller, manageable checkpoints. Then you just concentrate on hitting those little goals, one by one. As you do that, you're naturally focusing on the process and gathering all this amazing data that helps you reach the ultimate goal. And this is where it gets really good. The benefits are huge. Suddenly, you're swimming in useful data about what works and what doesn't. A failure is no longer a dead end. It's just as useful as a success. It tells you exactly what to tweak for next time. It also helps you see what was in your control and what wasn't, which builds resilience and, frankly, makes you way more optimistic. This is the absolute heart of it. We stop obsessing over the trophy on the pedestal and start valuing the climb, the struggle, the effort, the learning. That's where real, lasting motivation actually comes from. All right, theory is great, but how do we actually do this in our real lives? Let's move on from the what and get into the how with a practical toolkit you can start using today. So the first step sounds simple, but it takes practice. It's about making a conscious choice. After anything happens, good or bad, you have to intentionally stop and analyze the process that got you that result. That's how you start collecting the data that actually helps you improve. And here's a fantastic tool for that analysis. It's called the feedback method. Look at what happened and split the errors into two buckets. Forced errors are the things you couldn't control, like maybe the power went out. Unforced errors are the things you could control, like you didn't prepare enough. This immediately tells you where to focus your energy for next time. Now, if you want something a bit more structured, the good old SWOT analysis is an amazing tool. It forces you to get out of your own head and objectively map out your internal strengths and weaknesses against the external opportunities and threats. It gives you this clear bird's-eye view of your situation. And this is a super important point. When you're looking at that weaknesses box, you have to sort them. Corrigible weaknesses are the things you can actually work on and improve. Incorrigible weaknesses are things that, right now, are pretty much out of your control. Knowing the difference is absolutely key because it stops you from banging your head against a wall you can't move. So when you start using these tools, when you start flexing these mental muscles, something really cool happens. You're not just coping with failure anymore. You're building an entirely new perspective, a way of seeing the world where the very concept of failure starts to just fade away. Because that's what this all comes down to, right? Failure isn't some real concrete thing that happens to you. It's an interpretation. It's a story you're telling yourself about an event. And you, and only you, have the power to change the lens and tell a different, more powerful story. I mean, this quote from the source material just nails it. If you have the right eye, there will be no word in your vocabulary like failure. A setback isn't a failure anymore. It's data. It's a lesson. It's just a signpost on the path forward. So, I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Take a second and think, what's the first failure, big or small, that you're going to look at with these new eyes? What's the first thing you're going to re-examine through a procedure-based lens? Because giving that a try, well, it might just change everything.